Mahika is going to be talking about her journey through STEM, and she's an upcoming student at UCLA this fall. So yeah, Mahika, you can take it away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So, hi, I'm Mahika. If you guys don't know me, like she introduced me. I'm gonna be going to UCLA this fall. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I'm kind of gonna go over 4 things during this presentation: my interest in extracurriculars, my academics, my college application process, tips for you guys, and then like once I got into college, what was I doing? Like, what was I choosing? What am I doing right now? So a little bit more about me. So I was MHS class of 2020. I'm going in as a biochemistry major. I love cooking, painting, refereeing, soccer, a bunch of different things. I used to be really interested in being a veterinarian. I'm kind of rethinking that right now, but that's kind of what my application was based around. And then I really have a strong drive for advocacy. So when that comes to women's rights, especially their place in STEM, I've done a lot of things with that. And then as well as animal advocacy. Okay, so yeah, interests and extracurriculars. So for clubs, I kind of had 3 main clubs when I was in high school. So that would be STEM Girls. I helped found it. I was the president my senior year and treasurer my junior year. CSF, I was a board member my sophomore year, and then treasurer my senior year. And then I Am That Girl, where I was an active member. So if you guys don't know STEM Girls, it's a club, like I said, I helped start, and our goal is to really help women grow in STEM and get like opportunities for MHS students in STEM. So we've done a lot these past 3 years, and I'll talk more about that later. For CSF, it's a community service club, and yeah, that's kind of it for that. And then I'm That Girl is a super cool club, again, for women's rights advocacy, and I was just an active member, so I attended the Women's March through them and a bunch of other events. So professional and volunteering opportunities. I worked at the Humane Society Silicon Valley, and if you guys don't know, that's a local animal shelter. They're great, they're amazing. I did over 150 hours there. I worked as a camp counselor, where I helped students learn about animals and like their place in the community. And I also worked as a general volunteer where I worked with the animals themselves. Next was elementary STEM program. This was through STEM Girls. So currently we're at 3 schools, 3 elementary schools, and we're hoping to expand to 6 schools. We're hoping to expand to 5 schools. So this was like a yearly program throughout the year where we taught elementary kids different STEM programs in hopes of starting interest in STEM kind of earlier than when us high schoolers have it. So there's also music in the parks. Like it says in other, I played the violin for over 7 years, like starting in 4th grade. And so I've done a lot with music in the parks, a lot of community service there where different schools come over to our school and we basically help them during the event and stuff like that. And then I was a soccer referee. So this was actually like my first job. And I basically refereed whatever leagues I could. And actually, I didn't mention it, but I am working like a second job right now, which is I found this firm and I help like do taxes for them, super easy. Yeah, it's fun. And then the summer enrichment program, SEP, it's at different schools each year. And so I did community service here during the summers, and it was just helping children with different subjects, really general, just volunteering. And then my last one there, Tufts University Veterinary Camp. So this was actually the summer of my junior year where I attended this camp in Massachusetts, and it basically taught me the basics of being a veterinarian and things like that. So this was really fun. It was 2 weeks long. I stayed there, and it was a really good insight into like the profession and what I would be doing if I were a veterinarian. In terms of others, back to the violin, I played that for 7 years. I have a supplemental art portfolio where I do different mediums like painting, oil painting, charcoal, things like that. And I didn't really have, since I'm not applying to art school, I don't have like a large portfolio. Instead, I just had a supplemental one to kind of add to my college application. And I'll talk more about that later. Freshman year, I did water polo. I chose not to continue it and focus on some other things. And then Bridgehax, which is I'm the lead director for, and it was supposed to happen in April, but it got moved to like this week. So you guys should totally sign up, by the way. I'm like plugging right now, but bridgehax.com. It's a 48-hour online free hackathon. We have $2,000 plus in prizes and like tons of workshops. So it's a great opportunity to like immerse yourself in STEM. And that was kind of my goal with this event too, like start, get an opportunity for Milpitas High kids to explore tech specifically. And I think hackathons are a great way to do that. So definitely if you're interested, you can sign up. So my path in STEM, so I kind of started at a young age. I really liked animals, and that's obviously where I kind of got the idea of being a veterinarian. I started with the basic STEM classes in school, like everyone else, and then by junior and senior year at MHS, I started choosing the classes I want. So like you all have the same choices as me, so like AP Chem, AP Bio, AP Physics, APES, Environmental Science. So for junior year, I chose AP Chem, AP Physics, and then senior year, I chose AP Environmental Science. And I excluded bio because I was just more drawn to AP Environmental Science, and I'll just talk more about that later too. And I really found myself engaged in these classes. So obviously that kind of like led me into STEM. That was my first introduction. And then like using what I learned in the classes, I really found myself enjoying STEM. So I was like, you know what, I want to kind of make a more, I want to make a larger community of women in STEM because, you know, other than my friends, I didn't really have a professional network. I didn't have other people that I knew had the same interests as me. So I started STEM Girls, and honestly, STEM Girls has been like the largest influence about like my passion for STEM, and especially like helping other women in STEM. So like I said, I started it summer of sophomore year, and starting STEM Girls was really like a great experience. I learned a lot about leadership, and I found my passion for like organizing events and leadership. So like now I'm organizing Bridgehax, and like I basically, since we go on a lot of events and tours, I got to see a bunch of new jobs that, you know, I never thought of before. Because in my head, it was always just like doctor or engineer or like nothing more specific than that. So using STEM Girls, I was really able to explore like a whole bunch of job fields that I wasn't able to before. And I really found my community here professionally and like with friends. So like I'm in contact with a lot of professionals now, and like hopefully maybe I can use those contacts in the future. And like with friends as well, you know, we help each other out with finding new opportunities and stuff like that. And like I said, it's great exposure to the different fields I hadn't thought of before. And I definitely recommend putting yourself out there and trying a new club or hobby, because I never thought of doing STEM Girls. Honestly, before junior year, I was like so against STEM. I was like, I'm not going to do STEM. It's just not for me. And then I kind of applied myself and like explored through all these new events, which were actually like really fun. And that's kind of how like I really started to like STEM, and especially like advocacy for women in STEM. And although you guys think you like need to figure stuff out early, I only figured this out, like I said, junior, summer, and senior year, that this is what I kind of wanted to do. And so I applied to like college with that. But yeah, I didn't need to know what I need to do like freshman year or like sophomore year. I only figured it out junior summer. So yeah, take your time. So academics, I actually took the SAT 3 times. Each time my scores are not my best. And this is the only score I'll say. I got a 1420. In my opinion, like I would like to do higher. But what I really want you guys to take from this is that like I got into UCLA. I know it might seem like super hard to get into, but and like you need all the stats and stuff like that. But honestly, like I didn't have that. I really lacked when it came to SAT, like averages and stuff like that. And trust me, like SAT and College Board is like not all it. You have a lot more things on your application that can like stand out for you. And you can definitely use that for you. You don't need to like have these outstanding scores. I mean, I didn't, and I made it. So I also took the max APs possible for me. I really want to show colleges that I was applying myself. And so junior year, I took AP Physics, AP Chemistry, and AB Calculus. And then senior year, I took AP Statistics, AP Environmental Science, and AP Government. And so obviously you guys know we have a 3 limit max for APs. at MHS. So I really wanted to like show them that I was taking my max possible. And honestly, I'm grateful we had a 3 AP limit max, because I was able to like stop myself from overworking myself. So while still looking like I was really doing my best, which I was. And then one thing I really tried to do was like include STEM in my academics. So that was all like the science classes and the math classes. And in the end, I took 2 subject tests. My scores were not good at all, but you know, one really important point is that SAT subject tests are only an addition to your application. So if you get like 650 and above for math, like add it to your application. It's only plus points. It's not going to hurt you. And so that's what I did for both my subject tests. Like I said, I didn't have great scores, but I still added them, and because they're like showing that you apply yourself and that you tried. And then another thing, definitely use your summers, guys. That's like the largest thing. I didn't use my freshman summer or my sophomore summer efficiently, but junior summer, like I really pushed it for what I could do. And it's a great opportunity, not just for taking community college classes, but like everything in general. That's so my junior summer, I did that Tufts University veterinary camp. I did 2 weeks of being a summer camp counselor at the Humane Society Silicon Valley. I did other volunteering opportunities, stuff like that. So it's definitely like I took the time to explore like veterinary, like a career. And I definitely suggest that too, that you use the summers for that. Because I mean, you have the whole year for academics. So I definitely suggest use your summers for that. That could be like getting a job, getting an internship, taking community college classes, but also doing something else, like something you enjoy. That's when you'll see, like when you're writing your essays and stuff like that, you'll see like that really comes into handy, like your summers. And like if you took things you actually really enjoyed, you're able to write about it better and things like that. And then in terms of graduation, I graduated summa cum laude with a seal of biliteracy. So I took 4 years of Spanish. And I wanted to talk about my schedule and like how should you like put together your schedule. Definitely cater it to what you like. So for example, senior year, a lot of my friends took AP biology, but I was just more drawn to AP environmental science, so I took that instead. You know, technically AP bio is like the more rigorous class and like better to colleges, but I was more drawn to AP environmental science, so I took that. So definitely, like, it doesn't really matter too much about what classes you're taking, more kind of like, yeah, in comparison to each other, it doesn't really matter what classes you're taking, rather what you want and how you're building your like high school schedule. Okay, so the college application. Okay, so a quick breakdown, if you guys don't already know, you have the UCs, privates, and the state schools, CSUs. So the UCs, you have 8 prompts, and you have to choose 4 of those essays and write them, and you have to include your extracurriculars, and it's all in one application. You literally just check boxes for which UCs you want to apply to. For privates, you have 1 main essay, which is your Common App. You have several supplementals, like usually per school. For example, I applied to Oregon State University. They had 12 supplementals, but they were only 50 words each. So it really just depends on the school. And like, although you have 1 application where you have all your extracurriculars and like interests, you also have like sometimes separate questions for schools. And for privates, you usually use the common application, but there is the coalition sometimes used. Sorry, did someone have a question? By the way, if you guys have questions, just feel free to like put them in the chat. I think you guys aren't already doing that. Okay, or just open your mic and speak. Okay, and then you have the state schools, the CSUs, which are no essays. So that's like super easy. You just input your stats, and it's 1 application. Just click whichever one you would like to apply to. So here's kind of like the larger portion of my presentation, which is tips and advice for the college application. So for the essays, I definitely say start your essays early. So I think I started July of my junior year summer. And I basically started with the UCs because I know they have an earlier deadline, and their essay prompts were not going to change versus like other private schools, which might have different prompts, especially this year. I think because of COVID, I do think they're adding an additional COVID based essay prompt. So other than that, it should basically be the same because they changed it recently. So I definitely say start your essays early. I know that sounds like super boring and that like you'll do it eventually, but no, like genuinely start. And even if like you don't want to start writing right now, definitely brainstorm ideas. I took a couple like 2 weeks to figure out what I wanted to like write about for each essay. So for example, if there's an essay about my community, like I need there's a question like what did you do for your community? I took time to decide, okay, for this one I'm going to write about STEM girls. So take the time to plan out your essays too. That's super important. And like really use your time efficiently. You're gonna end up making multiple drafts, don't worry. My process for writing essays was actually like really weird. I wrote an essay usually, I hated it, I rewrote it, and then I combined those two drafts, and that's how it kind of worked for all my essays. So yeah, like find out what works for you. You're gonna have to do multiple drafts and a lot of editing, and I suggest only sharing your essay with like 2 to 3 people, close friends. If you share with too many people, you get a lot of opinions and that often gets confused. So yeah, I would limit to like 2 to 3 friends and then maybe 1 or 2 family members, but that's about it. Don't go sharing it with everyone. It's just too confusing. Aim to write something unique. I definitely think like you need to use the experiences you have and write something, and that's where like the summers come in super handy. You have your own experiences over the summer and like try to find something that no one else can write. And I know that sounds like super hard, but like we all have different experiences, and so like write about that. Don't write something super generic or cliche. Also definitely avoid like I know for example like here's some examples of things I've heard. So I had this one friend, she had a planner, and that was her life basically. She had everything down there. So as her main Common App essay, she actually wrote about her planner, which ended up being a really nice essay. But you don't have to be like that quirky person. Like there's a balance, so don't be generic, and don't try to do something quirky. Like just write what you think pertains to you and like your experiences, and like I said, really plan for that. And especially for all the essays, don't just list out your extracurriculars again. That's a super bad idea. You can definitely like mention them and add on to them like stories. For example, my main Common App essay was about like my affinity for animals starting young, and then like kind of developed into like STEM girls and like finding myself there. So I had those two things, but I wasn't listing out like the exact numbers of what I did. That's definitely not the place to do it. You already have that whole separate area to do that. So don't waste words on just listing out your extracurriculars again. Not the best idea. And a lot of schools do supplementals, like I said, for private schools, and they matter. A lot of times they're going to be like, why do you want to come here? So for those kind of essays, definitely do your research and figure out what at that school like interests you. So that could be like looking into different clubs there. Like I've definitely name dropped clubs in my essays that I want to join, and like different programs, research centers, stuff like that. Definitely take the time to do those. These are not just some extra essays. They look at these and they matter, so do them. And then for the overall application, I wouldn't say you have to, but I kind of tried to make a cohesive application, and my connection was STEM/animals. So through my extracurriculars, you saw STEM through me starting STEM Girls. I did volunteering with different like animal shelters. So, like connecting STEM and animals, and like my Tufts trip to Massachusetts where I learned about veterinary. So that's combining like medical STEM and then also animals. And through my academics, like what classes I chose, environmental science played into that, my passion. So what I did in my free time. So actually in my supplemental portfolio for art, I did a lot of I did like 2 or 3 paintings on animals, which was really cool and like fun for me. So that was that connection. And then writing, same idea, but like just be careful about being repetitive. Be organized, make a lot of Google spreadsheets. So I had like 6 or 7 Google spreadsheets. My first one was schools, how much, and like a spreadsheet of like the information about those schools. So that included cost, average GPA, average SAT, their programs, and stuff like that. Really do a lot of like do a good amount of research on the schools and like where you want to apply to, because there's really no point in applying anywhere that you actually wouldn't go. Yeah, there's really no point. You're just wasting your application fee. So definitely like look into schools before you just blindly apply. So for UCs, I didn't apply to all of them. I only applied to ones that I'd actually go to. And so after that, I made spreadsheets about like my different results, any aid they were offering, and just like be organized. It really helps and makes things less stressful. And like I had one more like with all the deadlines, if I've done the essay, if I've done the application, things like that. Like I said, research schools and their program before you apply there. And there's 3 kind of you should be aiming for: safety, target, and reach schools. Safety is basically you kind of know that you're going to get in according to your stats and your application. And then target is like what you're aiming for. And then reach schools would be like IVs and super difficult schools to get into that are reaches. So yeah, definitely look into those. You definitely need a balance between them. So a couple safety schools, a couple target schools. Oh, sorry. Oh my God. Okay. There you go. Okay, so look into that. And then my process of elimination for choosing majors was really just yeah, like elimination. I was really unsure about my major actually, and now I'm kind of like having second thoughts. So a lot of places I applied as biochem, chem, stuff like that. And although I am rethinking that, just I kind of came to that conclusion of what major I wanted through a process of elimination. So I didn't really like history, and I know I don't like enjoy writing, so definitely took those out of the play. I really enjoyed my chem class over physics class, so I lean more towards chemistry, and like that's how it worked for me. Now, if you know what you want to do, definitely go for it, but that was definitely like a difficult choice for me, finding out majors. Scholarships, they're so underrated. Do them, start like now, start and do them like your entire senior year. Make spreadsheets and stuff like that, and apply to as many as possible, because you know it doesn't hurt, and they're definitely like a great way to get money for free. So, and you need to pay for college. So if you're doing that, definitely apply to scholarships. I didn't do it till my second semester of senior year, which was such a mistake, but I definitely recommend that you do them like starting right now. Like just find some and do some. There's some super easy ones, like you just give your email and stuff. I don't really recommend doing those because honestly it's very unlikely that you're going to win. And so do the ones with like essays. I know they take more time, but what I did my second semester was I just used the essays that I did for my college application and then kind of molded them into working for these scholarships. Extracurriculars and awards, definitely write your descriptions beforehand. You have a limited character use, so you gotta plan ahead and really make sure you're using the best of those. Highlight impacts through numbers. So that means, for example, if STEM girls, for STEM girls, I wrote impacted plus 5 schools plus 200 people. And if you quantify it, it's really easy to like see your impact. And I definitely recommend doing that. It cuts down on words and it's just easier to like kind of see your impact. And don't randomly volunteer at places. That was a big thing. So like I was saying before, my cohesive application, it was surrounded around either STEM or like animals, and that's where I volunteered. That's where I put in my effort. Now if you're volunteering at 5 different random places that have nothing to do with that, it's just a waste of your time, and it's really it's like not worth it, because it doesn't seem like you're actually passionate about it. You're just trying to hit like a number for hours. So definitely aim for places that like you enjoy and that you would like to include in your application, not just to get hours. Visiting schools, I personally visited UC Davis, Santa Clara University, since they're nearby. My parents actually went to take a trip, so we went down to San Diego and visited like UCSD, UCSD, San Diego State, and one more that I'm like, oh, University of San Diego. And so I definitely recommend visiting one of like a state school, a private school, and a UC. I know that's like not possible now, so do your research, look online. I mean, you gotta roll with it, whatever you have right now. So definitely into that. I don't think schools are going to be flying in people obviously anymore. So, but some schools do that for free. So if you want to look into it, maybe they have like certain programs now, instead of flying you in, they have like special presentations. Do that. Okay, so choosing my path. I ended up getting in the end, I got like 13 acceptances, 2 waitlists, and 1 rejection. I only opted into one of those waitlists, which I got into, and one of them I didn't opt into. My one rejection was from Cornell, the only Ivy League I applied to. So it's okay, it didn't hurt much because I didn't really want to go to an Ivy anyways, and it's kind of far. And when you're choosing your college, definitely there's a lot of things you have to take into consideration. Location. So what are some local places you can eat there? How far is it from home? I definitely thought like I really wanted to go to UCSD, and then I realized like it's kind of far, like farther than LA. I know it's not that farther than LA, but I definitely preferred LA's location over UCSD. And definitely look into program availability. How are the professors there? I highly recommend talking to students who attended there for a year or two, or like however many. They are great resources because they will tell you the good, the bad, everything. Versus like if you go on a website, they're for the school, they'll probably tell you everything good because they want you to go there. But definitely reach out to students. Like I myself have reached out to people at USC, UCLA, UC Davis, and asked them how they feel about the place. Cost, obviously a huge factor when it comes to considering colleges. For example, so I was choosing between USC and UCLA, and obviously the biggest thing was that private school tuition. And I may want to go to grad school. If I go to vet school, that's another cost. So definitely take those things into consideration when choosing a school. And like social events and stuff like that, LA had like more of the scene I wanted versus like UCSD, which may be known for like a less social school. So that's also kind of a reason why I chose like UCLA. And then my own experience, like I said, USC versus UCLA, tuition and financial aid were like the biggest factors. Yeah. And when you're talking to schools, by the way, you can definitely reach out for more financial aid. I know right now because of like Corona and everything, they're they're giving out more money. So bargain with them, like obviously not too much, but do look into asking them for more financial aid because most likely they will give it. And then kind of end of the presentation advice. So take the time to like find out what you like because it definitely matters. Like I said, I didn't kind of figure it out till end of summer junior year. And that's like when you start applying to colleges. That's okay because if I applied as like different majors or what I didn't really want, it would have been difficult for me to like switch majors and things like that. Use your summer super efficiently, go volunteer, take some coding classes. And my big thing is like, for example, with the veterinary camp that I took, it was positive if I liked it or didn't, because if I liked it, I knew that I wanted to like go into veterinary science. If I didn't like it, I knew that was out of the option. So it definitely like in eliminating things or like just finding your interest, it's good to explore and like do different things. And there's like a lot of free programs as well as like paid programs now, like online classes. Take the time, like your peers. I have some friends doing hosting coding classes, so just like join in for a couple, see if you're interested. If not, drop it. Join clubs and find your community. So freshman year, I joined a good amount of clubs, but I ended up dropping a lot of them, like National Honor Society. I ended up dropping that. I didn't really enjoy it personally, because I was already in CSF, and both of those are pretty similar. So I was like, I'll just pick one. And don't overextend yourself. Find a couple of clubs that you can actually commit to and put in time to, and go with that. There's no point in having like 6 or 7 different clubs that you do nothing in, and like definitely try to get like leadership positions in those. Or if you see like a lack of some kind of community you want, make one yourself, make a club. It's a great opportunity to like find something new and like get some leadership positions. I personally, it helped me grow the most. Like STEM Girls was probably, like I said, the largest factor in kind of my path and journey in STEM and like my my high school career. And clubs are like such a big part of my personal community. I have a lot of friends there. And join clubs, just do it. Join a couple, you'll like it, I promise. And if you don't like it, you're in the wrong club. Just go find some others. It's a really great opportunity to immerse yourself, and it also looks great on college apps at the same time. And then take the time for extracurriculars that you like. For example, for me, other than like, everything I did mostly, like I really enjoyed, because otherwise there's no point. Because when you write about it, it's going to reflect how you feel about that particular activity. Like I really liked Some Girls, so I was able to write a lot about it, versus if I didn't like some of the thing, I would have basically no positive feedback for it, and like I wouldn't be able to write about it. So definitely take the time to for things you like. So other than school and academics, for me that was art and refereeing soccer. I used to play soccer, but I just didn't have the time commitment for that anymore, so I started refereeing soccer. It was a great way like to kind of get like my first job, and then also like have really fun with that. And then art, some creative expression, which I really enjoy. So yeah, and that's it for my presentation. You guys can find me on Instagram or email me, and my email there. And then I have a Facebook and LinkedIn too. And so we can open to Q&A now if you guys want.
Thank you so much. That presentation was amazing. And I'm sure everyone who was listening also got to learn a lot about, or like got a lot of help. And so that's why I'd like to also, like Mahika said, open it up to any questions that guys may have. Make sure you type them in the chat box. And so while they're doing that, I guess one question I wanted to ask you is just, how did you determine which schools had good programs, and how many schools did you apply to in total?
Okay, so in terms of good programs, it's kind of just doing your research. So which schools have like the best biochem professors and the best biochem research opportunities and things like that. That was for programs. And then as for the, what was your second part again?
How many schools did you apply to in total?
Okay, let me find that out right now. I have a list in my drive. I did 2 CSU schools, which were Cal Poly SLO and then San Diego State University. I applied to a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 schools.
Oh, wow.
So I can list them out for you guys if you guys want. So UC Davis, UC San Diego, UC Riverside, UCLA, UCSB, UC Irvine, and UC Davis. I already said Davis. So yeah, UC Davis. And then, like I said, and UC Berkeley. And then I only did 2 state schools, which I already mentioned. And then the private schools, I did University of San Diego, University of Arizona, University of Massachusetts Amherst, University of Southern California, Cornell, Santa Clara University, Oregon State, and yeah. And so I ended up getting into the schools I needed, which was everything except Cornell.
That's good though. You got into a lot of schools. Congratulations for that. So yeah, I guess looks like nobody's typing in questions. So we did have a Google form, and we had people like who were interested in your session just submit questions there. So I guess I could just ask from there. So So some people are asking if you could talk about okay, so yeah, are you happy with your decision to go to UCLA?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with where I got into. I actually didn't expect getting into UCLA. You know, it's always that like super competitive school that I honestly didn't think I'd get into. So I'm really happy with my decision because like my initial kind of goal school was UCSD, and then I found out like kind of like the social life and social scene was important to me. So I actually got waitlisted at UCSD. Um, so it kind of ended up working out for me where my options, I got off the wait list, but like my options, by the time I got off, it was like clear it was between UCLA and USC. And in the end, like I said, it was just tuition. And I'm happy with UCLA. It has a great program. It has a great social scene and good location, according like in my opinion. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. And another question that we received was, which standardized test scores did you submit?
So out of my 3 SAT scores, I only submitted one. I submitted both my SAT subject scores and I submitted all my AP scores.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, that's all the questions I have. I guess actually one more question. So for like the programs and stuff, right? Would you just search up like a biochem research program at this university and then like look into it?
Um, yeah, so that's kind of what I did. I just searched up, you know, best biochem programs in colleges, and then I found like, oh, like UCLA ranked blah in biochem or biostatistics. And then in terms of programs, it also was like word of mouth, you know, like obviously UCLA has like good programs across the board versus like San Jose State, San Jose State, which has great engineering and great computer science. So kind of just by that is how I.
Looks like we got another question in the chat box. So Ivy's asking, do you have tips? Do you have tips for taking subject tests, and when should we take them, and what should we take?
Okay, so for taking the subject test, I definitely should have studied. I thought I didn't need to study, but I should have studied, and I feel like that would have been seen through my scores. Definitely recommend taking them after your APs. So, for example, like you know, you take your AP test in May, so take your AP subject test in June. So that's what I did junior year. That's when I took both of mine. I took math and the chem one because that year I was taking calculus as well as AP Chem. So it was just automatic review that I was already doing for my AP class. I could just apply to the SAT subject test, which kind of eliminated any extra studying I needed to do. But yeah, definitely do a lot of like practice for the SAT subject itself, like search up practice questions because obviously they're different than the AP test. And you should take, like I said, whatever APs you're taking, whatever you're comfortable with. I definitely, if you're going into a STEM major, definitely recommend taking math. It's not necessary, but math too. Take it, and then any AP.
Okay, awesome. And then another question we had, I forgot to bring this up in the Google form that we had. Like, who did you get to review your college essays?
So I actually, me and a couple of my friends, my mom's friend recommended someone who looks at essays. So I paid like it was an hourly thing. I took a couple hours, prepared my essays beforehand, and then she just edited them on the spot. But yeah, that was kind of the only help that I took. And like I said, friends and family for editing, great, but don't do like more than 4 or 5. Yeah.
Awesome. So another question I had was scholarships, right? So are there any websites that you recommend applying through or?
Um, just I kind of just searched up. So there's scholarships for literally everything. So like a couple months ago, I searched up scholarships for animal science, and then I found like 4 or 5 where I could use my old college app essays and just apply them there, or like scholarships for women in STEM, and then I did that, and like most of them were like, oh, if you are a STEM major going into college, here's a scholarship. There's like so many different ones. Steer clear of the ones that like just ask for your name, email, and random info. You're not gonna get it. Definitely do the ones that put an effort because usually they're worth it.
And did you end up getting any of the scholarships?
No, I didn't. I'm planning to apply to some more. I didn't apply to that many because, like I said, start early. I only started end of senior year. So that's when I didn't realize that most scholarships actually were in the beginning of senior year and like even junior year. Like there's scholarships for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, college freshmen, like literally everyone. So look into those and do them early, which I wasn't able to do because I didn't know.
How early do you think like we should start? Junior year, sophomore year, or
whenever you can, just start now. Doesn't hurt.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So it looks like nobody else has any more questions. So yeah, everyone that's listening in. So she also gave us her email, right, and her other social links. So if you would like to have access to those again, then definitely email us and we can like forward that to you, and then connect you with Mahika if you want to learn more. And yeah, thank you so much, Mahika, for being here today. And I hope you have an amazing college experience.
Thanks. I dropped my email in the Zoom group chat, so if you guys are interested, I'm open.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm gonna end the meeting for everyone now. All right, goodbye.